Hello everyone, I start a brief summary on the boundary layer topics. As you see here, when the flow approaches surface, the velocity becomes zero on the surface, or more accurately, the velocity becomes velocity of the wall on the surface. So for a stationary wall, the velocity of the fluid becomes zero near the surface, and it gradually increases uh, to recover to its initial value or infinity value. The region in which the velocity is so experiences such a changes from a small magnitude or zero magnitude to the infinity magnitude is called boundary layer. And this is a laminar boundary layer where the flow moves in a layer above each others. And we know that wall shear stress or tau wall is equal mu partial u partial y over y equal to 0, or proportional to delta u over delta y equal to 0, or proportional to theta wall tangent theta wall. So as you see here, it is tangent theta wall, and so the shear stress is proportional to the tangent of this angle, this red angle that you see here. Uh, so yeah, theta wall is uh, proportional tangent theta wall is proportional to shear stress. Okay, and this is the laminar boundary layer, and here on the right you see turbulent boundary layer. In turbulent boundary layer, the flow is the layers of the flow doesn't move such this one. They move in different direction. They are very chaotic, so they don't move in a linear forms, in a laminar form, so they move arbitrarily in different directions. So this is called turbulent flow. Turbulent flow, the velocity profile of turbulent flow is shown here. As you see, the tangent theta wall of the turbulent flow is higher compared to the laminar flow, and turbulent flow shear stress is higher compared to laminar flow shear stress. And the thickness of the boundary layer of a turbulent flow is higher than boundary layer of a laminar flow. Also, you see here a flow over an airfoil. You see here a uniform flow approaches the airfoil. The green uniform flow approaches the airfoil. But on the right, the flow, as you see here, the flow is disturbed, and especially near the airfoil, there is a velocity deficit, which result in drag, which result in let's say which result in frictional drag. And you see here the boundary layer, this is which is indicated by this dashed red line, is somehow laminar near the inlet, near the, let's say, near the leading edge of the airfoil. And as the flow moves over the airfoil, the boundary layer there is a transition regime here, and then it becomes turbulent boundary layer, and near the end of the airfoil the flow becomes separated. So near the trailing edge we have separation. Okay, flow separation over airfoil. Consider here uh, the flow over this geometry, for example, this airfoil. Here, the flow is like this one. Near the wall, it is zero, and as it comes outer from the wall, the velocity starts increasing to infinity value. And on the surface, you see the velocity, also the boundary layer, and on some point on the airfoil or the geometry, uh, the velocity forms this shape on the airfoil, or exactly on the wall, shear stress becomes zero on the wall. So you see this specific behavior of the velocity profile at the separation point. So at the separation point, this behavior is observed and shear stress becomes zero, and then uh, the velocity becomes similar to the boundary layer velocity, and after the separation occurs, we observe a negative velocity on some regions near the surface and some positive above the separated region. So the separated region experiences flow reversal and negative velocity. The reason of flow separation is the adverse pressure gradient, or positive pressure. Adverse means positive pressure gradient. The pressure gradient is positive, so velocity is decreasing, and the flow finally detaches from the surfaces. Pressure nor in the boundary layer, the pressure is almost constant. So even though velocity changes uh, from 0 to V infinity in the boundary layer, the pressure is almost constant. So partial P partial N, where N is the normal vector, is constant, N is fixed constant, and pressure is constant, pressure is constant, uh, and let's say the velocity here is dissipated by friction. So the velocity is converted to friction, to shear stress, to friction. Pressure in the boundary layer is constant. Pressure is the boundary layer in the constant is constant, but velocity is lost and it is converted to friction. Here you observe drag coefficient over a cylinder. When the flow Reynolds is very small, the flow is dominated by viscous forces. So with the viscous forces, we have very high frictional drag, total drag here, which is mostly frictional. So you observe the drag is very high. It is like a fluid such as honey, has very low Reynolds flow, very dissipative flow, high viscous force. As the Reynolds slightly increases, uh, there are the flow again doesn't have any vortices or have very small vortices, very small vortices, but these vortices are stationary, and the drag started decreasing because the frictional drag reduces, and because the Reynolds number is increased. As we increase more the Reynolds number to 19 here, the blue line, the blue symbol here, we observe two stationary big vortex behind the cylinder. So, and the drag also decreases. The frictional drag decreases. As we further increase the Reynolds number to here, to this value 55, uh, we had let's say big vortex shedding behind the cylinder, as you observe here, and drag also started decreasing. As we had flow separation in the other cases, we have flow separation. As we have flow separation, pressure drag increases, but the net drag is reducing because the frictional drag was reduced so much, and pressure drag increased a bit, but the total amount of pressure drag and friction drag is not as sufficient, is not as high as these cases. So as the Reynolds increase, so the phenomena is this: as the Reynolds increases, the friction drag started reducing because the Reynolds is proportional to 1 over viscosity. As the Reynolds increases, viscosity becomes weaker. So friction drag decreases, and started pressure drag start from here to appear, but this pressure drag let's say, uh, uh, is not very high to make the total drag increasing. So the total drag is decreasing. And after that, in this regime, in this Reynolds 140, you see von Karman vortex street, where the vortices are separated from the, let's say, from the behind the cylinder and move in this way and have some oscillating behavior. If we increase further the Reynolds number to 2 multiplied by 10 power 3, we observe here these big vortices behind the cylinder, and here the drag is its minimum. And after we increase more the Reynolds number, you observe a big separated region behind the cylinder and vacants here and some vacants here, and the drag started increasing because the effect of pressure drag increase, the pressure drag is increasing and the net drag is increasing. And also here, the other behavior of this region will be discussed in class. Okay, experimental pressure distribution over non-spinning cylinder. I discussed this in the class last week. This line is a theoretical line 1 minus 4 sine 2 theta, which is obtained from the non-spinning cylinder pressure profile. And this solid line and this dashed line are supercritical and subcritical Reynolds number data, which are realistic flow. And you see subcritical means laminar, supercritical means turbulent, turbulent flow. So these two correspond to realistic flow over the cylinder, and you observe the difference because this profile or this graph 1 minus 4 sine 2 theta hasn't any drag, has not any drag, has not any pressure drag. We discussed this in the class and show it from the equations. But these solid lines and dashed line have drags. The solid line and dashed line have drags. And you see, because why we had drag? Because the pressure in front of the cylinder and back of the cylinder are not the same. If the pressure on the front and back of the cylinder are not the same, there is a pressure force, or we call it pressure drag, acting on the cylinder. And you see that subcritical Reynolds has a higher pressure drag than supercritical Reynolds. So in the laminar flow, separation starts sooner from the cylinder surface, and we had a bigger wake. But when the flow is turbulent, the flow has high energy and separate later from the surface and has lower pressure drag. Okay, type of the drag, as I told you, there are two types of the drag: pressure drag and frictional drag, skin friction drag. Pressure drag is, as you see here, for this flat plate normal to the flow. There is a huge separation of the flow behind this flat plate, so there is a huge pressure difference between both sides of this plate, and we had a large pressure drag here and a small friction drag. Friction means when the flow moves to the surface, the shear stress result in drag and retard the flow. This is the shear stress drag, friction drag. But when there is a separation, it is a pressure drag. Here you see the drag coefficient is too very high. Here you see a cylinder where there is a lot of separation behind the cylinder because it is laminar flow. The Reynolds number is 10 power 5. In the subcritical flow, So here you observe a big wake here, big separated region, and let's say, and high drag high drag pressure drag over this cylinder. If we change this cylinder to airfoil, you see, airfoil idea comes from the cylinder where you fill this region with solid. You see, we fill this separated region with solids, so we had a very smooth shape, which is a streamlined geometry, so it has more skin friction drag, frictional drag, and a very few separation at the end. And also we had here a very small cylinder here in subcritical regime with a high amount of separation, it has the same drag coefficient as this geometry. You see, it is very small, but it has a uh, very high uh, drag coefficient, the same as this one, because it has a lot of separation behind it. And finally, if you see a cylinder in supercritical or in turbulent flow regime, you see the wake is smaller. Compare this wake with this wake. The wake here is smaller. So this turbulent flow has lower pressure drag than laminar uh, flow, but higher frictional drag. The frictional drag slightly increases because, as I told you in the first slide, the slope of the turbulent boundary layer is higher, so shear stress of the turbulent boundary layer is higher, so it has a higher shear stress, higher uh, frictional drag, but lower pressure drag because there is less separation. So it is highly recommended that the realistic flow over the object to be turbulent. Thank you for your attention.